What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Michael Ray Hay Bauer, and we are officially live on this Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. live to subscribers and members of this channel. And I'm hoping to do more like this in the future, but it's a little bit of work, and it's my computer's not the best, and I got to figure it out. But what are we doing for today's video? Well, we're going to hang out. We're going to talk some movies that shaped my life. That's right. We are officially live, Mike Castillo, and special delivery, and play a lot of games, and the McAdams Minute. And Corey Fernandez is online as well. Like I said, we're going to talk some movies that shaped my life. And I'm going to explain why they shaped my life. It's going to be a plethora of very different movies. And doesn't mean they're my favorite movies. It's just how they shaped my life. And the word RAD for this video comes from Born to be Rad, the RAD Pack, the channel. He put out a community challenge video that Brendan Wet Movie One did and a bunch of other content creators where he asked us to list our 9 movies that shaped our life, or RAD movies. But I'm going to do a little bit more than 9 movies because I could not bring it down to 9. There's just too many movies that shaped my actual life to this moment. And we're going to talk about it. It's going to be around 15 movies to say the least. But that being said, please do this challenge. All the information for the RAD Pack to subscribe to his channel is down below. And if you want to take on this challenge, try to find a thumbnail that's kind of like the one that I did or the one from the RAD Pack and put it in your video and write the RAD movie that changed your life or made your life or etc. And we'll find the video as a community challenge. That being said, please hit that thumbs up, that like, that subscribe button. Consider becoming a member on this channel. Help your boy out. Support me. We all know that I struggle. I have a lot of struggles. We all do. And unfortunately, I tend to talk about those struggles more than the positivities in life because that's just who I am at certain points in my life. And I apologize for a lot of the negativity, but I'm on the upward trend and I'm running up that hill and I'm doing my best to be positive. Don't have a lot of people in my life, so sometimes you guys are the only ones I love and I trust. That's just honesty, and I hope you can appreciate it. Now, consider buying some merchandise from my channel. I will have new products this weekend on my merchandise channel, and you guys are going to love it. Some good stuff coming. Plus, they've been selling a lot, and they've been doing really, really well. Some items are still limited, meaning they're down to their final 5 or 10 or whatever. So go pick yourself up some good stuff. That being said, I just want to say hello to everybody that's online out of respect. We got Tarj on deck, Nick Popian, Tapoian. We got special delivery again, Whit Krieg, Corey Fernandez. I love you guys, all of you guys representing, saying hello. And Jess L is online. Hey, that's Jessica. I love her. And Sergio and everybody, just to give you guys some prep, some representation, some love. Consider super chatting, ask me questions during the show. All support is amazing. And during the show, I'll be taking comments and showing them for the fans, you know, some good stuff, hopefully. I don't know how this show's going to be. We're going to figure it out together. All right. Let's get right into it. Let's watch a commercial, and then let's get into the movies that shaped my life. Are you ready? I'm ready. See if I can figure out all this technology. And another way you can support me, the creator of this content, is checking out my merchandise store with the links below. We got t-shirts for sale. Anything that I got available, I'm going to get it to you. Like DonkeyLips t-shirts. You love DonkeyLips. They come in a variety of colors. Why don't you pick yourself up one? Hey, become a camper or camp on Awana. Pick up an personalized autographed photo sent to you. I also have cameos available that also come with a personalized autograph photo shout out sent to you from Cameo. And right now, limited Zeke the Plumber Plushy Nightmare t-shirts. That's right. Everything's limited. Everything's on sale. Support your boy, Michael Ray Haybauer. Links down below.
Quiz, kiddos. What do you get when you take the color orange and a pinch of your childhood and turn it into a San Diego Comic-Con after party? Give up. You get Nick at NightClub, the Nickelodeon-themed Comic-Con nightlife experience. Brought to you by XLE Productions on Thursday, July 20th at PARQ Nightclub in the heart of the Gaslamp District. Get nostalgic while being fully immersed in sight and sounds of the first kids network, Nickelodeon. Party to music from the 90s and 2000s, performed by the world-famous Flux Capacitor. Add-in sets by DJ Elliott and DJ Atomic Blonde. Special guest performances, plenty of Nickelodeon cosplay, photo walk, themed drinks, and more. So take the physical challenge, try to avoid the green slime, and relive the past with us at Nick at NightClub, the first SBCC after party for adults who are still kids.
Hey, everybody! This is Michael Ray Bauer, DonkeyLips from Nickelodeon. Salute your shorts. And I'm looking forward to meeting you all at Nick at NightClub. This is the 90s reincarnated. Nick at NightClub is DonkeyLips approved. Yeah, there it is. I will be doing an event, as you saw in the commercial, for San Diego Comic-Con at the PARQ Nightclub, July 20th. They are doing events Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and I believe Saturday night at the PARQ Nightclub, all around, not only around Nickelodeon, but around the Comic-Con and the events like that. And I'll possibly be a part of most of those events, especially the Nickelodeon one event. So if you're going to be in San Diego around July 20th, I know it's on a Thursday night, but if you're going to be around Comic-Con, come on out to that party. Pick up tickets. All links and information is down below. That being said, I'll be promoting it more in the coming days. And I'm going to go on an adventure. I think we're renting a house in that area. And I'm going to hopefully leave my apartment and enjoy the party and those events in San Diego. That being said, let's start today's show officially. All right, let me get these things on screen again. Let me go to the comments. Check out some super chats. Oh, I got a super chat. Yay, I love you, special delivery. Hope all is well and you can be a guest on my podcast soon. Yeah, we can talk about that in DMs and everything, but I might not be available till the end of July. And then, maybe we can plan it. Hit me up in DMs on social media. All information down below. Thank you, my brother. Can't wait for the event. Party with Bauer. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of other Nickelodeon actors at the event as well. There's going to be a bunch of 90s stars and Nickelodeon celebs. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. Photo opportunities, autographs, and stuff like that. They're going to play games. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. The Zeke the Plumber shirt is so awesome. I bought one and I definitely recommend it. The graphics are sick and there's actually a lot of detail. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate you and picking up the merchandise. Trust me, I love you all as one. All right, let's get into it. The RAD Pack, RAD movies that shaped my life and how they shaped my life. And let's get it started. All right, real quick, what'd you say? You have hit my DMs before, but I will try again. I don't know, man. Go on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. unless you're blocked. I hope you're not, but those are where you can get a hold of me, or hit me up in an email, heybauer@gmail. I think it's down below. Now I'll know who's talking to me, so hit me up. All right, let's get into the rad movies that shaped my life and how they shaped my life. This is no particular order, guys. Um, so it may go back and forth within my life. And I figured that's why I saw the other videos by Brendan and a couple others, and they did an amazing job, showing the movies that made their life. But I didn't really hear much of the stories of why the movie made their life, especially with my boy Wet Movie One. He just explained the movie and why he loved the movie, but I kind of took it a step above, and I want to explain not the movie. I want to explain how the event or of that movie shaped my life to what it is today. So I thought that was an interesting concept. So thank the Rad Pack and Born to Be Rad and Brendan for the community challenge for me going live and giving you guys this video. Hey, we got another especially friend of mine, the Midnight Owl. Check out her channel. Hopefully she's going to be on a podcast in the future. I'm working on that stuff, like I said. I just wanted to give everybody the respect they deserve. So we got the Midnight Owl. I love her. Crush on her. So let's get into it. Let's get into the rad movies that shaped my life and how they did it. Make sure I can add this to the stream. There it is. All right. So let me see if I can make my head bigger. There we go. So the number one movie, not number one, there's no particular order, but the first movie in the 15 movies that really shaped my life is Raiders of the Lost Ark. That was the first movie that I could recollect my father taking me to. Okay. I believe it was 1981 or 82. My father took me to this movie. I don't remember much. I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, but I remember the event. I remember the event of this movie. My father took me. We waited in line. I believe he bought me they had a hot dog facility next to the theater, and we watched it at the United Artists Theater in the LA area, or in the North Hollywood area. And I was just so excited to go to a movie. And my father planned it for a Saturday, and I was prepping for it. And he said that he took me to movies before, and I know the names of them, but this is the first one I can recollect because the boulder scene. We were watching the movie, and just in the beginning of the movie, everything was big and broad, and the music was loud. I guess my senses started to come in at that age, and then during the boulder scene, the movie froze. That's right. The flame or something happened to the film, and it froze. And then all of a sudden it caught on fire during that scene, or whatever the frame was with the light kind of disappeared. I don't know if it was a real fire, but they stopped the movie for 15 minutes. Then they gave everybody free popcorn and stuff like that. And then about 20 minutes later, the movie started again, and we watched it. And now I was into the movie even more so. But the movie was fantastic. We all know how it ends. And back in those days, I was going to church a lot. And, to see the Ark of the Covenant and that storyline on screen, then the facial features, and my dad taking me to my first movie that I could recollect, and having all of that happen was just one of the greatest memories of my life. And it made me an Indiana Jones fan, and I still haven't watched the new one. Forgive me. I deal with some issues of getting out of the apartment sometimes, and I flake a lot. But Raiders of the Lost Ark It's one of those movies that will forever be held dear in my life. I have posters, I collect things, comic books, and I will forever love the Indiana Jones series and movie. So that's how it shaped my life. Thank you, Father, for that beautiful, beautiful memory. Now, the next movie that shaped my life as a young kid was the movie Space Camp. I have always been infatuated with space, with astronauts, especially at an early age. And when this movie came out, I was excited. Couldn't wait to go to space. I always wanted to go to space camp. I always wanted to go into space. And this movie had kids going into space. It had a robot. But the reason this movie shaped my life is because I was into astronauts. I was a child. And just before this movie came out, a few months before this movie came out, we were forced to watch the Space Shuttle Challenger at our school. That's a conspiracy for another day. But the Space Shuttle Challenger in 1986, I believe it was, we were forced to watch it on a projector in our school and on a TV screen. All the schools in the area were forced to watch the Challenger go into space because they said a teacher, the first teacher, was going into space. Christy McAuliffe. Technically, all astronauts are teachers because they teach at space camp, blah, blah, blah. So they're all teachers. But this is the media's rendition of the first teacher in space. And we all watched it live, and we all know what happened. It exploded, and we realized death was upon most of the Challenger people, the astronauts, and it made a lot of people sick to their stomach and not want to be astronauts. There are theories and rumors and videos that these people are still alive. We can go into that at another day. But that same year, right after the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded, and a lot of kids' dreams and hopes were tarnished and scared with fear mongering or whatever happened with that event, the movie Space Camp came out just a month or two later. It didn't do very well because in the movie Space Camp, they go into space and they almost die and explode on takeoff. Whether the two are combined with the thing that happened in real life, who knows? Did they come up with the concept to blow up the Challenger if they did it in a conspiracy world? Did they come up with that concept in Hollywood a year prior when they wrote the script for Space Camp in 84 or 85? Because remember, Space Camp was filmed before the event happened. But Space Camp came out. It didn't do very well. People were upset. They didn't want to show their kids anything with space shuttles and all that. And the kids could have passed away or blown up going into space if it wasn't for the robot Max in this movie. But this movie scared me as well, as I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to go to space camp, and I wanted to do all that stuff. So this movie came out, and I had a great time. It had a great ending. Everybody was okay. It's a fun movie. But they came out too close to each other to where it just ruined my images and my future of loving space and wanting to be an astronaut and go to space camp. I was scared. And I didn't know why after watching both of these events and this movie Space Camp. Nowadays, I can watch Space Camp and love every bit of it. And I could think of it as a conspiracy for the Challenger because the movie was written a year or two prior and filmed earlier. And I sometimes think that, they create the special effects for movies to show people in space, whether I believe space is real or not. It's a story for another day. But this movie has shaped my life in so many dang ways forever. We definitely need to do a podcast. I haven't forgotten. Thank you, guys. Check out her video. She's amazing. Every movie should have a free popcorn intermission. You're dang right. How old were you when that happened? Well, I was. Yeah, you got me wanting to admit my age, but I was born in '75. So if you could figure out the movies or how old I was then. My son's elementary school was named after one of the astronauts. He was on that ship, Roland McNair. Interesting story. Interesting story. Um, Again, if you're into conspiracies, I recommend you guys look up Space Challenger and how they're still alive and watch some videos on that. It's up to you guys. But it's an interesting rabbit hole to go around. So, that being said, that was a movie that definitely shaped my life. It kind of altered my life. And you're going to find out later why this movie was the beginning of a beautiful mind or a conspiracy mind. The next movie that shaped my life is the third movie now on this list was a movie called Fire and Ice. Well, this was a cartoon animated movie from 20th Century Fox. And the reason why this movie, I don't even remember the movie. I just remember the event leading up to the movie. Because this was the first drive-in movie I ever went to. Like I showed you the first movie that I could recollect with my father of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Fire and Ice was another event in my life of loving movies and getting excited to go to movies and to go to the drive-in. Because the drive-in, it had to be at night. And I wasn't allowed out at night in those years. I forget the actual date of this movie coming out, but it's probably got to be 85 or 86 or somewhere around there. Might have been, 83. I'm not exactly sure. But I was going to a lot of movies around that time. And this movie was at our drive-in theater. Drive-ins are gone nowadays. But my father said he handed me a newspaper because I would hang out like on, after school or and whatever. And my father handed me a newspaper for the weekend's movies that were coming out. And he said, we're going to go to this drive-in theater like on a Saturday night. And he said, pick a movie from whatever was playing in that theater. I think they had Rocky, which I believe we already saw. I think they might have had Rocky, but I wanted to watch a cartoon. I think I was into Transformers and G.I. Joe and whatever else was on at that time. And I wanted to watch a cartoon. Because there's something about the bright, bold colors at night on a big screen outside. So I picked Fire and Ice, and I kept looking at that newspaper every day. Like he handed me the newspaper like on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then every day after school, I was like, oh, let's go to the 8:15 or the 7:15. Fire and Ice, Fire and Ice. And I kept looking at the picture every day. And I was getting amped up for that damn movie. So we went to the drive-in. They had a snack stand. They had a little playground with things. We got there early. We had to hook it up to the car radio through the antenna. And it was like an event. People went to concerts to watch musicians. The drive-in was an event for me, for my little 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old butt, whatever age I was. And I just remember every bit of it. He bought me goobers. I loved the goobers. And we sat in the car and we had the radio on. I think it was only playing through 2 speakers. For some reason, it wasn't stereo that I can remember. But to sit there with my father, my brother was there too, I believe. For some reason, I just don't remember. But long story short, I had goobers. I had a soda, like at 8 o'clock at night when I'm normally getting ready for bed or whatever the case may be. And I watched Fire and Ice. That's why the event was more important than the movie, because I don't remember the movie. I remember a character named Tigra, and but I think Conan came out around this time, so it's probably an animation like Conan, or remember that magazine called Heavy Metal? That's what I think it was. But what an event for me. Fire and Ice is one of those movies that the event of the actual movie was more important to me in my life than the movie itself. Now, the next movie that shaped my life, again, no particular order for any of these movies from childhood to adult, I'm going to go back and forth, was Wayne's World. This movie happened in my teenage years, like I think it was 89 or 90. I'm starting to act, I'm starting to be on television, I'm loving comedy, I'm in acting school, improv school, and Wayne's World comes out. And I'm getting a little bit popular, because I've been in a couple of projects and I just feeling myself. I was feeling myself. And I used to watch Saturday Night Live all the time. That was one of the only things I would watch on Saturday night. I would stay at home and watch basketball or football on Saturday, whatever was on, college football. And I would buy trading cards and comic books during the day. Then my dad had to work on the weekends he was a band member. And my brother would start going out around this time and doing whatever he did to get into, alcohol and whatever. But I would stay home with my trading cards, my comic books, and watch Saturday Night Live. So when this movie Wayne's World came out, I was just at a really, really good point in my life, and I loved this type of humor. I wouldn't call it stoner humor. I've never liked stoner humor, but this movie was like every Saturday night, and then every part of positivity, and with some of my favorite characters, and I can't explain it. It's just one of my favorite. I can't call it my favorite comedy movie, but it's one of those. It's just one of those movies that my entire life felt with a bright future, a positive future. I had a little bit of money. I was a little bit popular. I was buying trading cards, comic books. A lot of people have those memories when they're 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. I think I was probably like 15 or 16 when this movie came out. I should have looked up the years, but that's a story for another day. But Wayne's World, I can quote the movie almost religiously. Every joke, everything from it. Then I loved the movie so much, and I was on whatever people that were a part of it or whatever. I was talking to them. I think we had emails back in the days. I don't remember. But I met somebody through acting or something that was in Wayne's World 2. And he invited me to the premiere. He was one of the actors or the roadie crew in Wayne's World 2. And he invited me to the premiere at Paramount, at the lot of Paramount. So I went to the Wayne's World 2 premiere with that friend that invited me. And of course, I didn't like Wayne's World 2 as much, but it's just the culmination of what an amazing time for me in my life at that moment. And I laughed my butt off. I love every joke to this day. And then whenever I hear those songs in the car, I see a little silhouette, I'm shaking my head. It's just one of those movies that shaped my life. One of those movies that shaped my entire life. Haha, loves Wayne's World. What's up, dude? What's up, Jamie Shimmish? What's up, Ian? How you doing, brother? Tia Carrera, show wing. Yeah, she was beautiful. I just watched Tia Carrera in a movie where she played an auntie with a comedian, like Korean actor or something like that. I think it was called Easter Sunday. I just watched that. It wasn't the best movie, but it was a good family movie. Hope all is well. Have been keeping your spirits up, brother. Yes, you send me positive message, and I love you so much, Ian. Thank you. God bless you. I don't respond to everybody every day. I just disappear a lot. It's what I do. It's what I do. All right, the next movie that shaped my life is a very, very personal one. It's a movie called She's Out of Control. I believe it came out in 88, 89. It was the first movie that I was in. Stars Tony Danza, father of a young girl who's coming of age. And I worked with, that's where I met Dustin Diamond, rest in peace, the guy that played Screech. Everybody knows him for that name. And it was the first movie I ever did. My dad took me to the set, and I had my name on not a whole trailer, but like a quarter of a trailer. They had like 4 rooms in a trailer, and I had my name on it, Michael Bauer. And I actually cut my foot in this movie. I had to run away from Tony Danza like I was getting chased, and they had these stairs. I think it was a beach called Leo Carrillo. They filmed a lot of movies out there. It's where they filmed The Karate Kid and blah blah blah. And Saved by the Bell. They did like a beach episode, but it's called Leo Carrillo out there by Malibu. But they had a stairs that came off of the rocks into the beach, but the stairs started up here, and there was nothing unless you had to jump to start to climb the stairs. Again, when you're walking down, you can just jump down and go on the beach. But when you're running on the beach and you need to go up the stairs, there was nothing to get you that high unless you would jump. I wasn't that athletic. So the prop department or whoever they did, they built a fake rock with wood or I don't know what they did. Styrofoam probably. But they put like a big rock, and they're like, hey, just run up the rock, and then you can easily get on the stairs to run away while you're filming. So we rehearsed it and everything went fine. Then on the first shot where they actually filmed it, we did our little scene. The camera, sorry about the green screen, but the camera was here. Then we had to run, and then I stepped on the rock, and my left foot went through the rock, and it sliced a piece of my toe. Because we were in like sandals, or we might have been barefoot. Forgive me. We were barefoot. Because again, they didn't want us, running on the beach. We needed to be barefoot. There was no shoes involved. So it sliced up my toe. Then they stopped production. I was bleeding. They got a medic in there. And then they were like, oh, can you continue? Can you do this? Can you do that? And they were worried about, I guess, being sued or whatever the producers worry about. But long story short, it wasn't that bad, but I have the disease where I bleed a lot. I bleed a little bit more than normal. But they fixed it. We ended up filming it. They bandaged it up for me, and we filmed the rest of it, and everything was fine. But the reason why this movie shaped my life is, like I said, it was the first movie I was in. First movie I got hurt. I've gotten hurt on a bunch of movies or TV shows. It was the first movie premiere that I went to ever. I know I went to the Wayne's World one, but that was after. This was the first movie premiere I ever went to for a movie I was in. It's the first time I ever saw me on the big screen. So this movie has a lot of first for me. A lot of first. And I saw myself on the big screen in my small little part. And it just, wow. It's like you made it, All the movies you loved, you watched, you wanted to be a part of, there you are. And the screening was one of the best moments of my life as well. Not only seeing myself on the big screen, but I went to the party. My father took me. And you'll find out why it meant so much to me and my father later. But Christopher Reeve was at this event. Superman. At this screening. And I talked to and I introduced Superman to my father. You'll find out why it means so much later. So this is another one of those movies that, man, shaped my life in so many areas. And to this day, I still talk to Amy Dolenz on social media. Every once in a while. Hello, how you doing? So what a beautiful, beautiful thing. And Tony Danza, just the coolest. He'll always remember me, and they always remember that I cut my toe, and I didn't personally do it, but it stopped production for like an hour. That cost a lot of money to Weintraub Entertainment, and they hired me for a couple other movies later. But one of those movies, man, that just shaped my entire life. Hey, greetings from Bolivia. What's up, El Haran Hadero? What about Surf Ninjas or Three Ninjas? Did those make the list? Keep watching, brother. You'll find out. Special delivery. Yes, Amy Dolenz is in this movie. Yes. And when I did the movie as well, I was like, I used to watch the Monkees. So now I'm on set with Who's the Boss and the daughter of the Monkees. That's right. Her father, Mickey Dolenz, was one of the Monkees, and he was on set as well. And I also became very, very good friends with the girl that played Amy Dolenz' sister. We went to acting class forever and all that. That's a story for another day. But I'm still friends with her. But it was just an amazing event to be in my first movie, go to my first screening, meet Superman. Wow. All right, now, a lot of you guys know this already, but the next movie that shaped my entire life is The Matrix. Came out in 1999, 666. But this movie, I'm like 25 years old. My brain is starting to be fully functional. I'm starting to see the world a little bit differently than normal, because you all know that I'm a truther, a conspiracy theorist. You guys can call me crazy, that I have mental issues. Whatever the case is, I like this stuff. But this is what introduced my brain to something that is not known. When this movie came out, I went to that same theater that I saw my first movie, United Artists with Indiana or Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I watched The Matrix. Okay? I think I went at the 10:30 or 11 o'clock showing. That's when the movies first started. And I had myself a good day. Then the movie started. The action was intense. I ain't never seen nothing like that on CGI. And then, long story short, I don't need to talk about the movie, but the red pill and the blue pill, I was like, what the hell? The acting was fantastic. I was into every moment. What is real? You know what? Why am I liking this so much? What is real? Because remember, at this point in my life, I'm 25 years of age. I've been lied to by a bunch of people, girlfriends, this, that, Hollywood community, the government, this and that. I'm a poor person. I need money. I get food stamps, whatever help I needed. It's just governments, this, that. The real world, I've seen it right there. Then you all know how the movie ends. I'm going to show you a world you didn't know, where human beings are the batteries, and there's a conspiracy that, the world is ending. They're going to blacken up the sky. Apparently, the Democrats are trying to blacken the sky nowadays for climate change. That's another conspiracy for another day. So they're actually trying to invent the Matrix. Literally, they're trying to do that right now, guys. Go look into it. They're trying to get rid of the clouds and cover the sun. Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster. Just watch The Matrix. But this movie showed me something that I never could have thought of, that blew my mind. And now looking back at what I followed, the podcast I listened to, the conspiracies, the this, the that, this was my awakening. Even though it truly wasn't my brain awakening, to watch documentaries and to try to see the truth behind the lies and the hidden world. This movie was my awakening to that thought process. So about 9 years later, in 2008 or 9, I really had my awakening. My conspiracy, my awakening, whatever you want to call it, my brain change, whether it's good or bad, anybody can discuss it. And being a part of a conspiracy world, once your brain changes or you see things differently, doesn't mean that you don't see things that are real or fake or not. But once you see this stuff, we call it the truth, you can't go back. You cannot go back. You can no longer watch the news without seeing the lies. You can no longer watch events that are on television or, tragedies or whatever without saying, that's bull. That's not real. I can investigate that. Those are possibly crisis actors. You can't go back like that scene in The Matrix. You can't go back. Once you see the real world, whether it's real or fake to you, you can't go back. You're forever changed. And that's what The Matrix did for me. And I watched that movie, I think 4 times that first day. I went to every showing after that and watched it 4 times that day. So at the time, I didn't know why that movie meant so much to me, but now I do. That was my awakening, The Matrix. Addicted to Ubiquity. That's an interesting name. Hey, Bauer, big fan. Wish you all the best. I wish you the best, brother. Thank you for the donations and whatever. Wouldn't have said The Matrix shaped my life as it was like 18, 19-year-old, but it was an experience on the big screen. No worries, yeah. But it shaped, I explained how it shaped my life. Greg. What's up, video game Polak? I don't know if that's an insult to say that, but that's your name. Bauer is freaking up to date with the truth. Really woke, bro. Applause. Old Billy Boy wants to block out the sun. What does it say? A lot of it was filmed in Sydney, Australia. Jay Simmons, have you lost anyone close to you due to your truth or opinions? Of course. Of course. Of course. Everybody does. I'm the crazy one. It's all good. There's one thing, though, about being a conspiracy theorist is, and I'll just quickly talk about this or whatever, and it might mean something to some people, but when you first awaken, you're scared. Emotionally, you become scared. You start seeing things that were never there. You start realizing maybe you've been lied to, things are fake, or they're not as real, or the media lies, or this or that, and you become scared. You're like, oh my God, this is the real world. I've never seen it. I'm scared of it. Then you become angry. It's like breaking up in a relationship, that you really loved. There's the emotions to it. Then you get really angry. Right? Then you're yelling at everybody and you want to show everybody the truth. Hey, come here. Let me call my best friend. Let me show you this video. Let me show you the truth. This is what's really happening, blah, blah, blah. And then they look at you because you're angry and you're trying to bring them to your awakening, which you can't do that. So now you're crazy or whatever. And then after you get angry, you get sad. You get sad that people can't see what you see, and you can always take a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And then you get really, really sad, right? And then you get depressed, and then you lock yourself away. You disappear. You start rethinking your entire life. Is everything I heard a lie? Is everything everybody told me real or fake or this or that? And then you do that for a while, right? Then you come to clarity, where you start to realize, hey, I cannot force this religion or whatever it is upon people. I can't. If they ask and they want to be a part of it, if they see me watching a video or they ask you a question or something like that, then you can lead them down that path. But you cannot forcefully do it, only if they ask and all that. But then, of course, when I do make videos and I talk about it, because it's what I like to talk about, I get more people that hate me or dislike me or call me crazy, and I lose a lot of people, and people judge me, and it's one of those things, but you have to accept it. So not only do I get judgment in real life for my voice, for being an actor, for when I'm depressed or needing money or needing help, like I get judged for my thoughts, my opinions, my reactions. I'm leading a life of judgment, and I don't like it too much. All I can be is me, and the truth is, at the end of the day, Whether it's real or fake, only God can judge me. So that's what I lead my life by. Appreciate you guys for chiming in. Fluffy's online? Yeah. I'm not Jay, you're Jay. I'm Silent Bob. What's up, Fluffy? I love you, brother. Hey, man, we're going to your hood, Fluffy, San Diego, for Thursday, July 20th. I'm going to be up in that area, dude, for 3 or 4 days, man. I should probably contact you tomorrow or whatever, but let's try to meet up, dude. Let's try to meet up, dude. You and Cinestalker and Danny, or Danny and Cinestalker. Danny is Cinestalker, etc., etc., etc. Nick G. Zoltan. Sick with it. Tell us one conspiracy that really blew you away and why. Just whatever. There's so many. So many. This ain't a conspiracy show. This is a movie show. But 9/11. 9/11 is one of the big ones. All right, let's get into the next movie that shaped my life. I believe this is movie number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is movie number 7. Debbie Does Dallas. That's right. Debbie Does Dallas shaped my life. Why are you putting a porn on here, Mikey? Because, again, these are rad movies that shaped my life. This was the first adult film I ever watched and ever saw. Again, the event is greater than the payoff, but not in this movie. The event leading up to getting this movie and the payoff was spectacular. Spectacular. So we had a video store, and they had like a room with a curtain. And I always wanted to know what was in that room. I was starting to come into my own. I was hoping the cable box would freeze up and the porn channel would play. Every once in a while, it would play. Literally, the wavy lines on the cable box, when I did have cable and could afford it, disappeared, and I saw a little bit of porn on the cable box. But one day, a friend of mine was working at the video store. I ain't going to give no names. Let me go into the room where the movies were and look around for like a minute or two while nobody was in the store. And they were going to let me pick a movie and take that movie home. That's right. This guy would be fired and canceled. Might have been a woman. They would have been canceled or fired or whatever. They'll let me do this. And again, this is around, after the movie came out. I think the movie came out in the 70s or late 70s, early 80s. But we're talking like 86, 87, 88, whatever it was, 12, 13 years of age. But I heard about this movie. I just, maybe my dad talked about it. I don't know. But I walked into the room, and I only had like a minute or two. The guy's like, get in there and get the heck out. Pick a movie and get it gone. And then they had a section that said like legacy movies or popular movies or something like that. And that was the first section when I walked in the room. I walked in the room, I quickly looking. Debbie Does Dallas. I love football. I like blonde girls. Blonde girls are sexy. And this is going to be a bad joke. This is not true. But my mother's name was Debbie, and a lot of men have mother issues, just like women have daddy issues. I didn't have those issues. My mother's name is Deborah. She wasn't with me at the time. She moved on, with another husband. But I was just making that joke. But it's called Debbie Does Dallas, and I love football. I was watching football. I collected football cards. I like blonde girls, cheerleaders. So I took Debbie Does Dallas. My friend let me leave. It was a VHS, I believe. I don't think it was DVDs or that stuff wasn't available at those times. It was a VHS. And I had to wait to have the house and the VHS all to myself for at least an hour or so. So one day after school, I knew my brother was hanging out with other different people. I locked the door, put the VHS in. Albeit I was doing the act itself before this movie in bathrooms or whatever. But hey, I finally did the act. without a magazine, with a movie. So it shaped my life, Debbie Does Dallas. What did you say? Haha, the rating says PG. You're right, it does. You're right. Definitely rad. Face blue smiling. So there it is. There's your one of the movies that shaped my life. Then I remember, like, I would tell my friend, let me get another movie. You know, I came back for more like a drug addict. Give me more. Give me more. Devil and Miss Jones. Then I started watching Showtime at midnight. Lady Chatterley's Lover. Emmanuel in Paris. Man, today's porn, woo! I wouldn't call that porn. I call it abuse. I mean, everything online is so hardcore. It's just, oh my gosh, it's just. I feel bad for kids nowadays, man. They have to grow up with all the sexual acts in front of their face, even the fetishes, and oh my god, it's freaky. That's why I like softcore. I just like the presence of a beautiful woman. If she's naked, that's even better. But lingerie and simple stuff, man. Yeah, we can get into the nasty every once in a while, but just the image of a woman and just a woman being naked, no matter what shape or form, is good enough for me. There you go. I've said too much. Now, the next movie that shaped my life is a movie I starred in. Captain Nuke and the Bomber Boys, a.k.a. Demolition Day. That's right. This was the first movie that I was not only on the box, the VHS box, the posters, and other stuff like that. This was the first time I got to work in a movie as the entire lead. That's right. I was the lead of this film. The film is called Captain Nuke. I'm Captain Nuke. The audition process for this was like 4 auditions. Even though it was a Roger Corman movie, it actually had $1 million budget. It was the first time Roger Corman, one of these like lower end movie, people were taking on a teenage movie. Hey, we got a new member, Charles Danger. What's up, brother? Thanks for becoming a member, man. Love you. I appreciate you. And then this movie starred one of my favorite Saturday Night Live people, Joe Piscopo. Joe Mantegna was a pretty popular actor at the time as well. And then it had Martin Sheen. Apocalypse Now. So, not only were all of those my first time leading a movie, it also taught me that I could lead a movie, meaning be the main character, because almost every time we filmed, even though the movie was silly, ridiculous, a little bit campy, as an actor, you want to be in every scene. You don't want to have 1 line or 2 line, or you don't want to be the guest star all the time. You want to be the lead. You want to see if you can hold an entire movie within yourself. Again, whether the script was perfect or good or bad or a campy film, for an actor, this is the Holy Grail. This is the Holy Grail. To lead a film with you being the face of it, and a comedy film at that. I love Debbie Does Ethiopia. Keep it going, brother. Love your stories. Aw, Charles, man. It's people like you that makes me happy to be alive and proud to say I'm a fan of you, Charles. Thank you so much. So, to work with Roger Corman, I've seen some of his movies, but to be the lead as an actor, this meant the world to me. Then not only that was a great moment for me, there was one day again with my father, because I love my father. He's my hero, my everything. And I miss you dearly. Our lives have never been the same since we lost you. But I was on set with Martin Sheen. My dad loves Martin Sheen, and he kept talking about it. Martin Sheen's in the movie. You're doing a movie with Martin Sheen. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. You're doing a movie with Martin Sheen. And around this time, his children, Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, I think they were in other movies, but they were having drama. But that didn't faze my father. My father's like, you're doing a movie with Martin Sheen? So on the first day of filming the movie, I didn't want to bring my dad to meet Martin Sheen on the first day, because I felt like I wanted to build a relationship with Martin Sheen, then introduce my father to him so he's not bombarded by fans or whatever. But because I knew how much it meant that my dad was going to be meeting Martin Sheen, was going to come to set, then I started watching and renting some VHS movies that Martin Sheen was in. Can't remember all of them at the time. But I got prepared to work with Martin Sheen. Then I was in a trailer going over the script and rehearsing in Martin Sheen's trailer. And then I had an epiphany. Oh my God, I'm an actor. I am an actor. I have made it. All the acting classes, all the moments, all the auditions, all the turn downs, the letdowns, the being made fun of. I'm in a trailer of $1 million budgeted movie rehearsing with Martin Sheen, Academy Award winning actor. Wow. Again, whether the movie was that good, that bad, or he was doing cheaper movies at that time to make money, I don't care. I had that moment in the trailer with Martin Sheen. Then I talked about my father while we had our little lunch and our rehearsals. And then the next day, I brought my father. And my father, I've never seen him so nervous in my life. Well, I did at one other point. We'll talk about that later. But my father was just like standing back, holding my hand while I was walking him toward Martin Sheen. I know I have a picture. I hope I still do. My God, I lost a hard drive with a bunch of old photos many years ago. Oh my God. I hope I still have that photo of my father and Martin Sheen. I got to look. Sorry, guys. You guys reminded me. I lost a lot of photos of me and a ton of actors and special moments. My hard drive fell into a bowl of water while I was cleaning. It didn't have a case. Whatever. Ugh. But my dad was so nervous. My dad was so nervous. And then I introduced him. I'm like, hey, Martin, this is my father, Wyman Bauer. And then he's like, oh, it's good to meet you. So you're the man that created this legend. That's what Martin Sheen said to my dad. And my dad's like, and my dad goes, legend? I don't know about that. If this movie does well. Oh, one of those classic lines that my father said. Legend? I don't know about that, but if this movie does well, because, we're trying to get famous. We're trying to make some money, around this time. Then Martin Sheen, he just laughed as well. Then him and my dad had lunch that day. They talked about jazz music. My dad is a jazz musician. My dad was Buddy Rich's, a famous drummer's backup drummer, his partner. My brother was named Buddy after them. They were best friends. They had a lot of stories to share, and just meant the world to me. It's one of those moments that I gave my father, and I was blessed to give my father. That was just beautiful. So that's the reason why that movie changed shaped my life as well. First time I started a movie was the head of the movie, and my father, and I felt like a real actor. Thank you, video comment, becoming a YouTube member. You're awesome. I don't know why you guys are asking me my height in there. I don't think I need to talk about it. Stick with it. How many movies have I been in altogether? I don't know, brother. Go to my IMDb and check it out, dude. I'm not trying to be rude, guys. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes lately, I haven't wanted to focus on my career because ain't nothing happening, and it scares me and it makes me sad. And of course, I'm to blame for a lot of it. I'm to blame for a lot of things, and I understand that. But I just recently wanted to start auditioning again, but now we got the strikes and everything going on, so it just puts another damper in any aspirations I have of that again in the near future. But we'll figure that out at another time. All right, guys, let's go through the next movie that shaped my life. Thank you guys for tuning in to this probably hour and 30-minute video. Was An American Tail. This movie was the first movie I cried in. That's right. I cried in this movie. I watched E.T. You would think I would have cried in E.T. I don't remember if this came out before E.T. or a little after E.T. But I remember crying in this movie for the adventure of little Feifel. E.T. was fantastic. I'm pretty sure I cried in that movie too. But I don't know when they came out. I got to learn that one. But I remember crying in this movie every time I watch it, even to this day. The adventure of the immigrant Feifel coming to America, discovering New York, and then losing his sister and wanting to be reunited with her. And then when it's another Spielberg movie. My goodness, Spielberg means so much to so many people in their lives. But this was a musical as well. And I started liking musicals. And the one song, Somewhere Out There, Deep up in the sky, you're thinking of, I don't know if those are the words, but you're thinking of me somewhere out there, out where dreams come true. I'm bawling. I'm crying when him and his sister are singing the same song, looking at the same sky from different parts of the world. I want Feifel to be with his sister. Come on, let's get them together. I fell in love with Feifel in this movie. And just one of those movies that to this day I still cry of, and I think about that moment when I found out I had an empathetic heart. And I just love the idea of love and family and reuniting, and I want the best for everybody through adversity and turmoil. I think that was the movie that I found out I was an empathetic soul, or an empath, possibly by nature, where I feel the pain. There you go. Beneath the pale moon sky. I love it. Dude, Pete's Dragon is another great one. Pete's Dragon is bomb as well. That was a musical as well, wasn't it? Pete the Magic Dragon. Wasn't that a song? Yeah. Yeah, Pete the Dragon was a good one, but American Tail did it for me. All right, guys, let's watch a quick little commercial or two. Then let's come back and finish my movies. Thank you guys for chiming in. Hit that like, that subscribe button. Consider becoming a member. And again, I appreciate you. Sorry, we gotta add commercials. And another way you can support me, the creator of this content, is checking out my merchandise store with the links below. We got t-shirts for sale. Anything that I got available, I'm going to get it to you. Like DonkeyLips t-shirts. You love DonkeyLips. They come in a variety of colors. Why don't you pick yourself up one? Hey, become a camper, camp on Awana. Pick up a personalized autographed photo sent to you. I also have cameos available that also come with a personalized autograph photo shout out sent to you from Cameo. And right now, limited Zeke the Plumber Plushy Nightmare t-shirts. That's right. Everything's limited. Everything's on sale. Support your boy, Michael Ray Haybauer. Links down below.
Quiz, kiddos. What do you get when you take the color orange and a pinch of your childhood and turn it into a San Diego Comic-Con after party? Give up. You get Nick at NightClub, the Nickelodeon-themed Comic-Con nightlife experience. Brought to you by XLE Productions on Thursday, July 20th at PARQ Nightclub in the heart of the Gaslamp District. Get nostalgic while being fully immersed in sight and sounds of the first kids network, Nickelodeon. Party to music from the 90s and 2000s, performed by the world-famous Flux Capacitor. Add-in sets by DJ Elliott and DJ Atomic Blonde. Special guest performances, plenty of Nickelodeon cosplay, photo walk, themed drinks, and more. So take the physical challenge, try to avoid the green slime, and relive the past with us at Nick at NightClub, the first SVCC after party for adults who are still kids.
Hey, everybody! This is Michael Ray Bauer, DonkeyLips from Nickelodeon. Salute your shorts. And I'm looking forward to meeting you all at Nick at NightClub. This is the 90s reincarnated. Nick at NightClub is DonkeyLips approved. Yeah! Once again, all information for the Nick at NightClub San Diego Comic-Con event will be down below. Links to my merchandise store and all that. Use code DonkeyLips in capital letters for 10% off. Consider becoming a member of this channel. Subscribing, donating, super chatting. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And now let's get back into the RAD movies that shaped my life as inspired by Born to be Rad, the RAD Pack, Brendan Wet Movie 1 in this community challenge. Let's continue it. And again, I couldn't do just 9 movies. And I didn't want to only talk about the movies. I just wanted to talk about the stories behind the movies and how they shaped my life up until this day in no particular order. We went through the first 9 or 10 and we finished on An American Tale. Now we are going to continue this with some more movies that changed my life. Pirate 1975, my good Raider brethren is online. Just wanted to say hello to Video Game Pollock, everybody else that's online, everybody else, can't see all the names, Jesse, Jess L, Jay Simmons, Willow Falls, Michael G, Charles Danger, Corey Fernandez, love you guys, God bless you guys, thank you very much. Now, this movie changed my life in so many ways, and it's not very popular. It's called Frankenstein 3D. It's a movie from Andy Warhol that came out in the 70s. Okay? Like in 1973 or 74. The actual movie was called... Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. Called Flesh for Frankenstein. From Andy Warhol. But what they did was, in the 80s, when I was starting to go to a lot of movies in the early 80s, they created a 3D version of this movie. And it was playing at my local United Artists Theater that I love to go to every weekend. And I think around this time, I was probably starting to watch Freddy Krueger and some other movies or something like that. But they came out with the 3D version. Okay? Brings the horror off the screen and into your lap. Frankenstein 3D, special glasses provided. So I made it an event. So started watching it. I don't know how I was allowed in the theater alone, but I started watching it. And then they started showing flesh and cutting people and creating Frankenstein, trying to find body parts to create him. And I kid you not, after about 20, 30 minutes, whatever it was, I was done. I was done. Again, I have issues with blood. I have that disease or whatever where I bleed more than normal, and I don't like any of it. And that movie was disgusting. It was crushing me. It's the first movie I ever walked out of. I literally walked out of it. Normally, you think for your $3 or $4 or whatever it was back in the days, you're going to stay there. Nope. I was gone. I was gone. It was disgusting. It was like torture porn, kind of like too gory for me. I did not like it. I walked out. And I think that started my hatred of those type of movies. The gore movies, the horror movies, the gore movies, whatever they're called. And I still remember it to this day as the scariest movie. I don't know if it was scary, but I walked out. I don't even want to watch it again for memories of the first 20, 30 minutes, whatever I watched. Scary. Corey says, I still have the Vinegar Syndrome release of Frankenstein 3D. Good stuff. Thank you, David's Parma Coat. Yes, I'm still with SAG. Hey, what's up, Narmosh? Never heard of this movie, but sounds interesting. Yeah. Have a good time, video comment. But yeah, Flesh for Frankenstein or Frankenstein 3D, whatever you want to call it. Nope. Now, the next movie that changed my life by way of my father's as well is another Spielberg movie. There's been multiple Spielberg movies in this video. And we'll find out how much Spielberg meant to me later on. But Close Encounters of the Third Kind. My father loved this movie, referenced this movie all the time. Why? Again, I've always had a different type of brain. And growing up, maybe that's why I became an actor, because I have all these thoughts in my brain, or I have like visions or stories or whatever it may be. But early on, before I even met Jesus, not met Jesus, I mean, went to church to see Jesus in form, I was telling my family, my father too, that I had visions of Jesus in my closet, that I was talking to him. And then they asked me to describe him and all that. Then they pulled out a picture, and then it was exactly how I described. Maybe I saw Jesus somewhere else as a child to have those stories in my head. Maybe I was talking to Jesus. Who knows? But, my father and my mother, when she was there in those early days, was, wow, you described him to a T. You've never been to church. So we started going to church around that time. Then many years later, I woke up one day with a scar on the back of my head. You can't see it, but I have a scar. It's a long scar on the back of my neck, like toward the beginning of my head. Literally, I just woke up one day and that scar was there. How did I know it? Because I think I was going like this with my head and I felt it. Then I started talking to my dad. This is after my mother was gone. But I started talking to my dad and I'm like, why do I have this scar? They operated on me when I was a child. Like I had a really tough birth. I don't want to get into all of it, but I have paperwork and everything. When I was born, I had a lot of complications. They had to do surgery on my kidneys, my this, my that, just a lot of internal issues, and I died apparently um, on the operating table in my birth. Like literally, I died or my heart stopped. I guess that's death. Couple times when I was born. My mom had complications. They didn't know she was pregnant with me. Her appendix burst, and the acid from the appendix went into the womb while I was being developed and born. I wasn't. I think I was a premature baby, but by like 3 weeks. Um, and long story short, I had complications after that. But I have a lot of scars. Okay, and so I tell my father, I'm like, "Where's this scar from?" He's like, "I don't know. I don't remember them doing surgery anywhere up there. All your scars are from down here. This and that." I'm like, he's like, "I've never seen that." Then I started having visions or thoughts of UFOs and in space and whatever. And again, when I saw this movie with my father, he loved this movie. He was all into it because this kind of, and then they took kids in this movie, onto a ship, and they brought them back, and what? It's just a scary movie, and it was a scary movie for me and my father because I think we had the same notion, and we were thinking the same thing. And again, I'm not saying it's real or fake or it really happened, but I started having thoughts that maybe I was abducted. It normally happens to people in small towns, not like a big downtown area or whatever. But again, me and my father watched this movie because we couldn't explain the scar on my head. He contacted the doctors, they didn't know nothing. But it meant that much to us to watch this movie, and it scared the bejesus out of us. And then that do 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 do. My dad was a musician. To Speak with Aliens. It's just one of those movies, man, that hit at a time in our life that we enjoyed, we loved. It was intense, it was scary. All the emotions were being felt, and it wasn't all because of my scar. It's because of the movie and aliens and stuff like that. But again, I did have those thoughts like, have I been abducted? Just interesting, interesting. Um, so yeah, this movie just, man, blew us away, blew us away, blew us away. Um, and we forever remember it. We watched it every year, and my dad, that moment where the big horn goes "Rah!" like do 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 da. My dad, whoa, meant a lot. And then I think a few years later, I watched a movie, Communion, about aliens again because I was still interested. Have I seen aliens? I don't know if I've been abducted. I don't know. My brain is it's a wild entity. But I watched that movie Communion, and that scared the heck out of me. But Close Encounters of the Third Kind, man, it's just one of those movies you have to watch. And the visions of the kids with the lights walking down, like the kids look like aliens as well. It's woo. And let's be honest, Steven Spielberg knows something. Think about all his movies. Him and James Cameron. Space is underwater for James Cameron, and there's aliens underwater for James Cameron. And then Spielberg does a lot of alien movies as well. And he knows a lot about the crystal skulls, the this and that. They know something. These people that lead our society in movies, they know something that we don't. Whether it's real or fake or not, they know something. Pretty interesting. Yeah, Stanley Kubrick too is interesting. Melinda Dillon was also in that picture. Very underrated actress. Was that the wife? Was she the wife, Melinda Dillon? Dreyfuss is a good actor. Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss as well. What's up, pirate? Must watch list. Oh, there we go. We got your list. What do you got on there? You got Explorers, great movie. Brain Scan, with my namesake. The character in the movie Brain Scan was named Michael Bauer, just to let you know that. And The Last Starfighter, classic. Princess Bride, never watched it. No, I watched it. I just didn't care for it. The Goonies, Savannah Smiles. Is that a porn? Better Off Dead, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Uncle Buck. I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Uncle Buck, Poltergeist. Yeah, that's one of those movies. Poltergeist too. Didn't really shape my life as much as like Close Encounters did, but UHF, classic. Karate Kid, classic. Scarface, classic. Hope All Is Good. Fantastic list, my brother. Thank you, Pirate, for the donation, the support. So there it is. Close Encounters of the Third Kind just took my brain to places I never thought of, as well as The Matrix, and it opened my eyes and made me think that there was a possibility I was abducted or I got a scar from experiments. I don't know. But this is one of those movies that forever will live in the lore of me and my dad. And it's just shaped my life. One little conspiracy thing about Close Encounters. Remember they're on the mashed potatoes, he uses a fork and he creates the mountain. I think it's called Devil's Mountain. And he creates the mountain where all of this stuff happens with the army, the military, the music on Devil's Mountain. I don't know where it is, Ohio, the North Dakota, somewhere. I forget. I got to go remember that. But I watched a documentary a few years ago called Mountains Do Not Exist. And Devil's Mountain was one of these mountains in there. And in this documentary, again, whether it's real or fake, it's up to you. But they showed all these examples of mountains. And they showed that they're not mountains. Everything that comes up from the sides of mountains and all that, it looked like trees. So think of Devil's Mountain. I don't have it on picture, but if you could think of Devil's Mountain from the movie, that looks like also not a mountain, the base of a tree where the roots would grow into the ground and that would be a tree. The bottom of a tree that would spread. That's what Devil Mountains looks like, and a lot of other mountains or big popular mountains. So, when you look at the pictures in this documentary of all these examples of mountains, once your brain changes, you can no longer think that mountains exist. That they're actually just trees from many years ago that were huge, that giants lived on this earth. And these were trees for giants and earth. And then they became mountains because they're dead trees. Then dust, sand, whatever else goes on top of it. Then it forms like a shell. Then it becomes a mountain, what we call a mountain. That all of these are just trees or former shells of trees. That the entire earth was plain or on a plain level. And then these mountains are because trees became mountains. So that mountains don't really exist, that they're trees. Fascinating documentary. I think you can find it on YouTube. I think it's called Mountains Don't Exist or Trees Are Mountains or something like that. Fantastic. 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 The giant tree theory is interesting. It's insane, man. It's insane. Big trees with Kirk Douglas, 405 Cowboy. God flooded the Nephilim to save us, man. Yeah, well, there's also the Anunnaki. And again, there's a lot of videos and stuff you can watch into this world that's really, really interesting. And a lot of the doors, even in buildings from many years ago, the doors are huge. Then we got a little door for humans. but it's a big ass door, like huge. Then then there's a little door in the middle of it for us 5 foot tall people. Why are the doors that big? Oh, it's just a design, an architect design. Bullshit. They were made for giants back in the days, these buildings, because they got big ass roofs. They got rooms everywhere, cathedrals, this and that. Wasn't made for little 5 foot, 6 foot humans. It's like it was made for like 10-foot people, man. It's interesting, dude. Interesting. Gene Bean, how are you? I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for being on this channel, being a part of today's video. Now, of course, everybody knows this movie shaped my life. How? Well, just watching kids have the best adventure. And this movie came out when I was a young child, saw it in the theaters, and it had a representation of me as in Chunk. And this, another Spielberg movie, and this movie just, woo, was the funnest adventure I have ever seen with kids and somebody like me. I have a lot of good stories. When I met Richard Donner, and I worked with him on Tales from the Crypt, and I auditioned for Richard Donner. After I already knew who he was, I auditioned for Tales from the Crypt that Richard Donner was producing, walked into his offices, and in the middle of his office, he had the skull of One-Eyed Willie in his office. There's videos online that corroborate this on YouTube where they take a tour of his office and everything. But I remember, I forget what age I was when I was auditioning for Tales from the Crypt. But I walk in the room and they're like, hey, Michael, this is Michael Ray Bauer. Richard Donner's in the room. And then I walk in the room and there it is. One-Eyed Willie with coins. And then they're like, okay, you ready to start your scene? I'm like, that's One-Eyed Willie. I walk right over to the case with Willie in the skull. And I start talking to him. How you been, Willie? How you doing? You survived, huh? You made it out. Whatever I was saying. Now, Richard Donner is watching another Chunk from the Goonies, basically kid like Chunk, talking to One-Eyed Willie during an audition to get a part on Tales from the Crypt. And then he goes, whenever you're ready, kid. His name was Dick Donner for a reason. But we love the guy. Rest in peace. But I'm talking to Willie. And I'm like, shh. Again, my brain was wild. So he let me go. And then a couple minutes later, he's like, if I give you a doubloon, can we start this audition? Hey, if I give you a doubloon, can we start this audition? I said, oh, yeah. He gets up, opens up the case. He had the help of somebody else because it was a big case. Then he hands me one of the like fake, or maybe it was screen used. I'm pretty sure it might have been one of the coins. Why don't I have it to this day? Because I'm an F up. I lost it. You would think that would have been one of my prized possessions. I don't know. I started drinking and going to parties and clubs and whatever. I lost it. But he gave me a coin that I think I put in my pocket. For some reason, I have a recollection of holding it during the audition. But whatever. I did the audition. I got the part. Long story short, he also hired my father to be an extra, paid our bills so we could pay our rent. But the Goonies, that movie always meant something to me. And it always will. And when I was in elementary school as well, there was rumors. This is before I met Richard Donner. There was rumors that they were making a Goonies 2. And then they were looking for kids. I think they were recasting certain characters, for whatever reason. And in my elementary school, they brought me, before I was in Glee Club or acting officially, I think I was like 10, 11 years of age. They brought me into a room. They took a picture of me and then they're like, hey, can you read this script? we're trying to find kids for the Goonies too. I don't know if it was official, done by Richard Donner or Warner Brothers or whoever. I don't know. But they brought me into a room. They filmed me. And I read some script. And the movie never got produced. But there's a possibility that they were making a Goonies 2. And if they liked me, I might have been a part of it. Or I might have got a better audition. I don't know. But I wasn't really acting with an agent at that time. I think that year was the year I started Glee Club. That's probably why they brought me in. But interesting story of how the Goonies shaped my life. To this day, if it's on TV, streaming, and I see it, I watch it. I watch it. So there it is. And then I ended up working with Sean Astin in a movie called The Willies. I actually met him at the screening for that and stuff like that. So will there be a woke Goonies remake? I think that woke stuff is starting to die down. The other side is starting to win a little bit. Chunk later starred on the Family Ties. That's right. Tales from the Crypt TV show. Yes, it was the movie, but it was a 3-episode movie, and it aired on HBO. But I was like in one of the episodes with Joe Pantoliano from The Matrix. Man, my career, the people I've worked with and met from my favorite movies or the movies that shaped my life, they all come together, man. It's insane. It's beautiful, it's insane, and I love it. Now, the next movie that shaped my life, again, it's another memory of my father. We spoke about how I went to the She's Out of Control premiere. Christopher Reeve was there, and this was about maybe like 5 or 7 years before he had his horse riding accident where he became paralyzed. But again, so I went to the premiere of She's Out of Control with my father, and me and my father at the same moment when he walked in the room, we went, oh my God, that's Superman. Oh my God, that's Superman. And I walked up to him, said hello. I think I touched his shoulder, like to see if it was real, because it was Superman to me. And my father was like, very hello. And he gave my dad like a look, whatever. But the reason why that moment meant so much to me was because for many years, I would watch the Superman movie, whether it was on TV or whatever, with my father, or rent a VHS cassette. And the scene where Superman flies into space after the earthquake and he wants to save Lois Lane's life, the minute he realizes Lois Lane is dead, that moment, because our mother left us, and my father always loved as best as he could, and seeing the loss of Lois Lane, like Superman's love, I guess it reminded my father of something, of him losing his wife. Because my father lost 3 wives at this point. 3. That's right. His first wife passed away. She was pregnant. She got hit by a car. She was pregnant with my father's baby. This is in the late or the mid 60s. Then my father married another woman when he was on tour with Buddy Rich. And long story short, they had a joint bank account. My dad went on location to do a tour, came back, all the money was gone. Whatever he accumulated. And she left him and whatever. Then we had my mother, which is my mother. They met in the mid 70s, and she left. She found another man, whatever. But long story short, that scene with Superman and Lois Lane, when he goes, no! And then he puts his fist in the air, and then he flies into Earth, and he starts flying so quick, he tries to turn the Earth rotation backwards. So to take time and to go back in time before the earthquake to hopefully save Lois Lane's life. And that moment where he screams, "Ah!" My dad, every time we would watch it, just my dad would feel it and cry, and he'd be, "Go save her!" Just one of those things with my father, man. Not only is the movie fantastic, but that's why meeting Christopher Reeve, after I watched that movie with my father a lot and seeing his emotions, my father didn't show emotions all the time. You know, he was one of those. I show emotions all the time, but that was one of the few times that I remember always seeing emotion on my father. You know, and the love he had in his heart. So Superman, one of those movies that saved my life. Saved my life. Or shaped my life. Forgive me. Christopher was the best Superman ever. George Reeves was awesome. But he wasn't close to Christopher. George Reeves, that was the TV actor, right? Hey, hit that like button. What a sad story. I mean, it's just life, you know? It's life. Yes, we're very passionate people, me and my father. God bless your dad, Mike. Thank you very much. Yeah, again, my brother's struggling right now too. My brother's in his like fourth rehab in his life, trying to save his life through drugs and addiction. He's in a 45-day blackout, and he's over 50 something years of age, and he almost died again recently due to addiction. Prayers, guys, prayers. Okay. I've had a tough upbringing, but so have a lot of you. And I love you all for that. Trust me. That's why I don't like haters, because I don't understand how you could hate. People are just being who they are, speaking what they want. But it's all good. People don't like me. That means I'm doing something right. All right, the next movie that shaped my life is, and we're down to our final three, it's Career Opportunities. What movie is this? Well, it's another coming-of-age story from John Hughes. This movie is fantastic. Not only did I have the biggest crush or have many masturbation adventures with Jennifer Connelly from this movie, but this is in the vein of A Breakfast Club and coming-of-age stories and the real world and life and how it affects everybody and their emotions. That's why John Hughes is one of the best filmmakers ever. He took those stories from youth and he made them classics. Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, so on and so forth. Uncle Buck as well. But this movie, Career Opportunities, came out around the times where I was starting to either need a job or make some money or what am I going to do with my life? And this movie had a character. He's a great actor, man. Frank Whaley, I think one of the most unrecognized actors of his time. Frank Whaley. He was in Hoffa. That was a great movie called Hoffa with Jack Nicholson. Frank Whaley's in it. But he has a wild brain, the character in this movie, Career Opportunities. You guys got to watch it. He has a wild brain, and I've always had a wild brain, an overactive brain, an overimaginative brain, whatever the case may be. I see stories where there aren't some, or I have stories where there are some, or I develop stories that actually happened, but I just make them a little bit more, you know, funny or recognizable or developed or whatever. But he's like a slacker. He just can't find a job anywhere. His family threatens to kick him out. Long story short, he has to find a job. He has to get a career because his life ain't going anywhere in the small town. And he ends up getting a job at Target. And then Jennifer Connelly's character is basically abused in some sort sexually. Maybe she's not officially touched or anything like that. But she's like looked as an object even by her father, and she doesn't know what she wants or what she likes. She locks herself and falls asleep in a Target that now the character has to work for overnight, and he's left alone to work in this Target overnight. And then he meets Jennifer Connelly's character, and then some things happen, and they learn to enjoy each other's company, and they learn a lot about life and about emotions, and it's just a fantastic movie. So, like I said, around this time, the reason why this shaped my life was because I saw myself wanting a woman like he does in this movie, wanting a woman like that with an overactive brain, needing to get a job, to make money. Where's my life going to go? And I actually worked not at a Target, but at a Kmart. That's right. At one point in my life, I was struggling and I needed to get a real job. And I actually got a a janitorial job through a company. And I ended up working at a Kmart. And I worked overnight, graveyard. I'm sure that happened actually after the movie I saw. I don't remember the dates, but I'm sure it happened after I saw the movie. And at that moment, I realized I was living that movie as a janitor in Kmart. Needless to say, I wasn't alone those nights. We had a couple other workers that were higher up janitors, and they didn't do any work. Every night that I was there for the 5 days I was there, they didn't seem like they did any work. They told me, "Hey, do this, do that. This is your training. Do this, do that." And then they were hanging out in the break room. But whatever. Needless to say, that job wasn't for me. I eventually left it because I couldn't hack it. It wasn't for me. And I had better plans in the future, which now I need that job and would have taught me a lot if I kept it. I was also a security guard at a bank. I was also a security guard at a facility. I was also a salesman at a comic book store and an assistant manager at a comic book store. I've done some jobs. That's why I know now that I'm always going to want to do YouTube or acting or this type of stuff, that I can never really work a real job. Can't do it. It's not for me. So people say, get a real job. I don't want one. I'd rather live my life this sad because I can't do that stuff. That's why I applaud the people that do it. I applaud you. I can't do it. Career Opportunities meant the world to me. One of the awesomest movies. Yes, this is live, Ryan Scott. Willow Falls. I worked at Kmart in the photo lab. Jennifer Connelly looks like a younger Amy Grant. Oh, yeah, it's live, Ryan. Did you work at Universal City Walk at one point? Yes, I did. I worked at a comic book store there for about 3 years. 2 years, maybe. That's where I met Wet Movie One. He took a picture of me as an actor. Let me just thank everybody for the super chats and the becoming members. Wow, we have another section here where we can show that. That's cool. I didn't notice that before. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right, now, the next movie that shaped my life is Evolution. You've noticed a theme with a bunch of these movies, that they've been movies I've worked in and what they meant to me. Well, this movie, even though I didn't star in it, I was one of the top 5 build or 6 build. I never made it on the poster. The movie didn't do well. It tanked. But I got a job to work with Sean William Scott again after I just recently worked with him before this movie in Dude, Where's My Car? I just recently worked with, whether that event went well or not, it did not, but I worked on the X-Files with David Duchovny. So now I'm starring in that movie, or I'm also starring with them in a movie after I just recently worked with the likes of Sean William Scott and David Duchovny. And before I filmed this movie, I watched Boogie Nights with Julianne Moore so I could see her naked before I worked with her. That's just honesty. But this movie was like, it was an $80 million budget, but they were calling it a $100 million budget. And it was the first movie by DreamWorks that was coming out with the newly formed company. And again, I got a job in it. I had to film my own personal auditions to get the job in this. I busted somebody's eardrum in the audition for this. It kind of went off the rails. Even while we were filming it, it went off the rails. But that's not why it means a lot to me. I don't want to talk about the negative stories from the people I worked with or situations I had during this movie. I want to talk about the positives. And I got to work with, like I said, not only Sean again, with David again, but with the creator of the Ghostbusters. I knew who I was auditioning for when I auditioned for this movie. I literally stayed up all night and filmed auditions like the kid did for the Hobbit movies or for the Lord of the Rings. Elijah Wood did the same thing. He filmed his own auditions to get the part in Lord of the Rings. I filmed my own auditions to get the part in Evolution. Stayed up all night and did it. Sent it to them via Postal Express that morning. And I had like 4 or 5 auditions as well. Busted somebody's eardrum. It's insane. There's a couple podcasts out there that I did where I talk about those stories. And maybe I'll do an actual episode where I tell all those stories from my perspective in the coming days. If that's something you guys would want to hear or see, let me know. But I'm trying to avoid the negative, or I don't want to call out people. You know, I don't want to create drama where there shouldn't be any. You know, I don't want to expose anybody, or that might be exposing myself as a drama creator. I don't know. But I got to work with Ivan Reitman and Ghostbusters and Stripes. He was the man. Ivan Reitman was the man. And to get to wake up every day and work as a Ghostbuster, but as an alien buster in the supposed recreation of the Ghostbusters for the next millennium with Ivan Reitman, who just recently passed away as well. And I met his son, Jason, still friends to this day. My Jason made the Ghostbusters movie, that Afterlife, and that movie was made a year before it came out, and I actually saw like a 9-month early Ghostbusters Afterlife digital copy where he was asking for feedback because during COVID and all that, he wanted to see like how he could make the movie better, and he talked to some people that were, I guess, important in his life, and he showed them the movie early to fix some things, and then about a year later, 9 months later, it came out. And I spoke to him when his father passed away. And then Jason Reitman, again, in another story, the people that are throwing on the Nickelodeon event, the band called the Flux Capacitors, they're now in the Ghostbusters universe. And they're making songs for the game and the DVD bonus versions of the Afterlife movie. And not that I introduced them to Jason Reitman, but I think they contacted each other through my circle or through that circle. So, long story short, Evolution, to watch it on the big screen too, big opening day. I went to the theaters when it came out. I was so proud, so proud. Um, Went to the theaters and then watched the movie. And then before the movie ended, I saw it a bunch of times. It didn't do well in the theaters. It was a budget of like 80 to 100 million, and it only made like 35 million in its theatrical run. I don't even know if it ever made the money back after video sales or not. It's not my concern. But I would watch the movie in the theater on a Saturday night or Friday night or whenever it was. Then before the movie would end, I would stand like outside of the doors where they would open for the theater goers to leave, and I would stand there like I'm waiting for somebody or like I'm looking for somebody, but I wanted them to recognize me. That's right, my vanity wasn't so good. I had some crazy vanity back in the days. But I just like seeing people walk out and go. Again, some people recognize me, whether it be from Nickelodeon or whatnot, but to be in that exact movie right outside the doors, when they walk out, you're going to be on their head. They're not going to go, hey, where do I know you from? Did I go to school with you? Oh, where do I know you from? Oh, I'm an actor. Oh, you didn't go to school with me. I'm an actor. I was on Nickelodeon. Whatever. They would walk out of the theater. There I am. And then I don't think phone cameras were that big at the time. This is like 2001. I don't even think phone cameras were that good. But boy, a lot of people like, oh my God, nice to meet you. Shake my hand. And then since I watched a lot of it at Universal Studios or City Walk, hold on, looks like my internet coverage is not doing so good. But since I watched the movie at Universal Studios, some people had those disposable cameras. So I would stand outside the theater. They would recognize me after the movie. And some people with disposable cameras would take my picture. And it felt really, really, really good for my vanity, my ego, whatever you want to call it. Did you know SmackDown plugged Evolution when they were on the UPN network? Yeah, Evolution, again, they had a big budget for press, for ads. So they probably paid WWF at the time, to do an ad read. I just saw Evolution on Stars a couple of weeks ago. 420. No, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't like it. But happy 420. Thank you, video comment. Citizen M, you can't be real. I think I am. Is the ArcLight Theater still around at Universal Studios? It is. It is. It is, I believe. That's where I need to get out of the house and go watch Indiana Jones, man. Oh, sadly, no. You know what? It might not be called ArcLight anymore. You might be right. At that City Walk one. You might be right. I think it's AMC now. That theater at City Walk at Universal Studios, I think it's AMC. Wow. Good one, Michael G. Good one, Michael G. and Jay Shimmies. Now, the final movie that shaped my life, if you will, it's not as big as the stories of the movies that I led before, but Back to the Future, man. Again, this entire series, this movie did it for almost everybody that's probably watching this video. Back to the Future, another Spielberg movie. Oh, and then I didn't tell you guys the story. Again, I worked with Spielberg, and I met Spielberg a few times in my life, technically. But then when I worked on Evolution, let me tell you this story. Sorry, guys. I kind of skipped over one of the reasons why Evolution, not only with Ivan Reitman, meant the most to me, but it was Spielberg. Okay? This movie was made by DreamWorks. Okay? They had Shrek come out that year. Shrek did way better than Evolution. But this was one of the first 5 movies that DreamWorks made as a company. Remember DreamWorks SKG, Steven Spielberg, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and David Geffen. And then I auditioned at Amblin. Amblin, you could not get onto at Universal Studios to audition. I auditioned for Evolution at Amblin. I saw all the video games. They had like props from like Jurassic Park and some of the other things around there. And to get on Amblin, knowing that I was a big Spanish Spielberg for almost everything was fantastic. And months prior to me getting the audition for Evolution, there was one moment. I used to go to Universal Studios a lot, not only to audition, but I bought yearly passes. I would go on the tours. And then as an actor, if I ever had an audition there, and sometimes even when I was a part of the entertainment crowd at the park, I would sneak onto the back lot, the studios and the stages, and I would try to see what they're filming, what they're doing. And I snuck onto Jurassic Park one day. They just had a big tree and like a half of a car, like a quarter of a car and a tree kind of in the background. Then when I saw Jurassic Park, I knew that was the scene where the two little kids and the car comes down. That they had that little set. So I knew that was Jurassic Park. But so one day I was driving home from, people have heard this story before, but let me tell it again because it's one of the best moments in my life. I was driving home from Universal Studios, and we had a street light or a lamp where I'm making a left turn. I'm in the lane, like the second car waiting to make a left. Then the light is right there, and then all the other cars are right there parked to the right that are going to the straight. So I'm in this lane waiting to make a left turn. Normally I had tinted windows, but I had both my windows open this day. I'm waiting to make a left. Then the cars start parking on my right. Then I look over to the right of me, while I'm just looking around, waiting for the light to change. I look to my right, and it was a Jeep like Wrangler, like a Jurassic Park type of Wrangler. But it wasn't from Jurassic Park, but it was a Wrangler, like one of those Jeeps. The windows are open. Guess who's driving the car? Then I looked to the right. It was Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg was parked right next to me with his windows open. And I'm right there. And I go, oh my God, that's Spielberg. I knew it instantly. Just knew it. I go, that's Spielberg. He looks at me. He does the same little glance too. And then right when he looked at me, I just yelled out, I'm going to work with you someday. I yelled it. I'm going to work with you someday. I yelled it loud. Then around that time, the light changed. Then the car started to go. Then I went off. And then in my mind, I tried to look at the rear view or to the side to see if he had a reaction. And in my mind, again, I don't know if it really happened, but he was like, But I yelled at him, and I met him. That was the first time I saw him. Wow. He must have been driving home from Amblin that day, because Amblin's right there, the Universal, the streets, Barham Boulevard, Lancashire, all that stuff. Wow. So I get on this, I get the table read. I get the part in Evolution. Then we have a table read. Then I show up to the table read, and the table read is at DreamWorks. They took over an office or something at DreamWorks, and we're having the table read at DreamWorks. It was in Glendale. I believe it was Glendale. So I just bought a new truck, a Ford Explorer. It wasn't a new truck, but it was like a 1990 or something, 91 Ford Explorer. Wasn't 91, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a 92. That's right. It was a new car to me, but I bought a truck, right? The truck broke down with overheating, but I made it to the table read. So right before the table read, we're all waiting to get rid of, and it's funny, I saw David Duchovny in the bathroom, and we had some problems on X-Files. That's a story for another day. But I saw David Duchovny in the bathroom, and then he kind of kicked me off the set of the X-Files. It's a story for another day. But we saw him in the bathroom, and he's like, and then Sean showed up, and then he's like, you're in this movie too? Like, we just got finished working on Dude, Where's My Car? I'm like, yeah. And I go, I bought a new truck too. He's like, oh, could you give me a ride? I took a taxi. But so we're waiting to do the table read. All the actors show up, Juliana, Ivan Reitman, everybody. Then we get a notice that we have to wait like 15 more minutes that a special guest is going to arrive. All right, all of a sudden, 10, 15 minutes later, shows up. Steven Spielberg walks in the building, into the room where we're doing the table read. Then he stands like in front of all of us on the table and he says, "Hey, I just want to congratulate you all. You're being a part of the DreamWorks universe. And, I want to congratulate Ivan Reitman, this and that, being a part of this. And we're going to try to make something special." And, all that other good stuff. And he's like, "You're going to be one of our flagship science fiction movies." And Spielberg says, "I love science fiction and this and that and sci-fi comedies." So he does a little 5-minute speech before the table read, congratulating his company and all of us being a part of it. And David Geffen was there as well. Katzenberg was not. So then Spielberg says his stuff and we all clap and thank him. Then he starts walking over to David, Ivan, shaking their hand. And then he's literally going down the row. Then he gets to me. And I'm like, "Hi, I'm Michael Ray Bauer." He goes, "I kid you not. On my life, on everything. I'm not crossing fingers, nothing." I say, "Hi, I'm Michael Ray Bauer," whatever. He goes, "You kept your word." You kept your word. That means he remembered me from that day in the car when I yelled, "I'm going to work with you someday." And he now said, "You kept your word." Wow. Sorry, guys. I get emotional because a lot of these moments, I don't know if I'm ever going to have them again. And if they've passed me by. But these are the dream people that I've worked with. Now, reliving some of these movies has just brought me to some amazing moments in my life, and I hope to have more. But when you're alone a lot, you kind of think of these moments and you're afraid that you're never going to have them again, Wow. I went home and I told my father everything that happened. He couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. Many years later, I went to a E3 video game convention where the video game Medal of Honor Airborne was coming out. And they had this 360 profile where they were showing the game, like the trailer and the hype video, in this like tent. But it was like 360 all around you where you can look. So I went to the E3 convention as a VIP guest because I did like Star Wars video game, voice artistry and stuff like that for a couple of video games and stuff like that. So I went to this premiere of the trailer for Airborne. And then I stood in the middle of the tent so I can get the full 360 view. And it was for VIPs only or whatever. And then, they had little presentations before it on this weird screen, man. So it's like a circle. So I stood in the middle of the tent and then, sorry guys, my emotions. So I stood in the middle of this tent waiting for the trailer. Then people started to crowd and come back. Then they started this little like behind the scenes trailer or video footage of there was an actual screen below the 360 screen. They had a big screen, and then they were showing behind the scenes footage of the game being made. And Spielberg and people were talking about the game Medal of Honor, how they're taking it airborne instead of on the land. It's a new creation of video games. But they had a 360 screen as well, where they're going to actually show the trailer where you can follow it. But they had the big TV in the middle of the stage. So I'm standing there watching the 10-minute presentation before the trailer comes on. And I start feeling people, crowding me or coming around me to watch it. And then all of a sudden the trailer starts. But it says, please put your eyes up, to watch this 360 screen that they have at a weird angle. And then the Medal of Honor game comes, Medal of Honor, Airborne. And then we're watching the planes and we're turning like this, watching the planes in a 360. And we're like going, oh my God. And everybody was looking like that. Then the trailer ends. Then, the lights kind of start to come up. Then I hear everybody clapping and cheering. And then I hear somebody say to my right ear, so what'd you think, kid? And I go, oh, it's awesome. And I turn my head. It was Steven Spielberg. Was to the right of me. And he asked me, what did you think, kid? I was like, it was awesome. And then he goes, how you been? Are you freaking kidding me? How you been? I've been good, sir. The game looks awesome. I'm so proud of you. This and that. Then his son Max was there. And he introduced me to Max. And that was really it. Then his PR person or whatever took him away, glanced him away. But he literally said, what did you think, kid? And how you been? I'm still in his mind. And he still knows who I am after all of this. Thank you, God, for the blessings I have received. So, that's what evolution did for me in terms of meeting Ivan Reitman, Spielberg, and all these other people, man. Thank you guys for the comments. I'm a very blessed dude. You're right, Guy Pringle. A lot of people don't keep their word. That's true. I would get emotional too, man. You're still in the game. Thank you so much, Michael G. 405 Cowboy, God bless you. Dude, most people never get to experience that sort of thing. Pretty awesome. Thank you for being so open with us. Thank you, Jess. Oh, you're still online, Jess? Oh, love you guys. Brent Mania, my dude. You're always supporting, man. Thank you very much, Brent Mania 89. I got to start watching wrestling again, man. Hey, we got him online. Whoa, you're doing the challenge. Born to be Rad. This is where the challenge was created, guys. Please check out his YouTube channel down below. I think I linked him and his videos. And I couldn't do 9. I couldn't do 9 movies. I think I did 15 because these shaped my life. I know it's a little bit different concept than what you guys did, but thank you very much, my dude. I appreciate the thought of doing this video. Michael, I need that actress that played Dr. Khan's niece later, became famous in the porn world. Is this true? Dr. Khan. Oh, that's on the Nickelodeon. Yeah. I did hear that they did a porn. I don't know if that's real or not. I gotta look into it. Hey, thank you more than ever, brother. The concept is beautiful, and I hope more people do it. So now back to the final 15th movie or 16th. I forgot count. But Back to the Future, it shaped my life. I watch it all the time. I quote it. I live in the conspiracy world. In this movie, there's a lot of 9/11 things or props that kind of predict 9/11 and stuff like that. And again, traveling through time, this kind of explained time travel, that it's not linear, that it's on a timeline. Michael J. Fox, I just watched his documentary, one of the best documentaries I've seen. What a great human being. And here's one story that I forgot to mention earlier, but I'll mention it now. And another reason why Back to the Future means so much to me. Back to the Future was written by a gentleman named Bob Gale, him and Robert Zemeckis. Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis wrote this movie. Now, I did a movie that I spoke about earlier. Let me find it. I starred in a movie called Captain Nuke and the Bomber Boys. This movie, and I told you guys why it meant so much to me, but this movie was written by Charles Gale, Bob Gale's brother. Bob Gale, the creator and writer of Back to the Future, his brother wrote this movie in which I got to star in. And Bob Gale was proud of his brother on this Roger Corman movie and came to the set and admitted that his brother wanted to write this movie and asked for advice about nuclear bombs and nuclear stuff from Bob Gale, who nuclear was a big theme in Back to the Future. So the writer of this movie, Captain Nuke and the Bomber Boys, talked to Bob Gale and wrote some parts in the movie that I starred in based off of each other. And I met Bob Gale. He came to the set. Not only did I meet Martin Sheen with my dad and those stories, I met Bob Gale, the creator, writer of Back to the Future. Now, after I filmed this movie, Captain Nuke and the Bomber Boys, maybe a year or so later, Bob Gale, the writer of Back to the Future, was making a choose your own adventure movie. That's right. Bob Gale, I should have looked all this up, but again, I'm just talking about the movies. But Bob Gale created a choose your own adventure movie that you could watch on the big screen like the books. Remember the books where you can choose a page and choose your own adventure? Well, Bob Gale created a technology with a joystick with 3 buttons in a theater. They had to put the joysticks in the theater with the buttons connected to a computer. I think this might have been 97, 96, somewhere around that time after I filmed Captain Nuke and the Bomber Boys. But he made a movie. It was like a choose your own adventure movie where the character on screen would start to do something, then it would stop and it would say, do you want them to go to the backyard? Do you want them to continue to the bedroom? Do you want them to walk out of the house? Here's your buttons. You could press A for this, B for this, or C for this. Choose your own adventure. So then as the audience members, we would click A, B, or C, and then whatever the majority picked. So if the majority picked the character to leave the house, it would come up and it would say, 55% picked, leave the house. Then it would come up on screen, and then like a minute or two later, they would leave the house. And then the story would continue. And I think it had about 15. Not that many, but it had like 15 choose your own adventure moments. So I got invited to the premiere of that because I knew Charles Gale and Bob Gale from the Captain Nuke and the Bomber Boys. So I got invited to that. And the movie wasn't that long. It was like a 30-minute movie, again, with the alternate endings or the different moments. It's altogether probably like a 2-hour movie. But it was only like a 35-minute film with the choose your own adventures. And then we ended up watching Back to the Future after with Bob Gale. I did that screening in Pasadena. But what a moment to not only meet Spielberg on many occasions, or 3 occasions basically, and to meet Bob Gale, the creator of Back to the Future, and check out a new technology for a movie of Choose Your Own Adventure, and to watch him Back to the Future with him again in Pasadena. Fantastic. Fantastic adventures, fantastic movies in my life. So let's just go over all the movies that shaped my life again. We're not going to talk about each one in detail, but again, movies that shaped my entire life are Raiders of the Lost Ark, Space Camp. Sorry, the screen got a little messed up. Is Space Camp, Fire and Ice, Wayne's World, She's Out of Control, The Matrix, Debbie Does Dallas, Captain Nuke and the Bomber Boys, Fievel's American Tail, Frankenstein 3D, also known as Flesh for Frankenstein, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, The Goonies, Superman the movie, Career Opportunities, Evolution, and Back to the Future. These are the RAD 15 or so movies that shaped my life. Doesn't mean they are my favorite movies, doesn't mean that they are the best movies in their category, but these are the movies that in some way shaped or formed who I am as a human, with memories and possibilities and laughter and love and anger and fear and crying. These are movies that shaped my life, and I cannot stop thinking about them even to this day. Thank you guys for chiming in. So, on behalf of myself, behalf of Born to Be Rad for putting out this community challenge, check out his channel. Everybody that chimed in for these 2 hours and 20 minutes, I love you guys. God bless you guys. Hopefully for better moments in the future and all that. Real quick, does Bomber Boys have a DVD release? If so, I'll buy a copy. It might on the international market. It might. I do not know that. I have a copy that I was going to sign for people. I'm going to put it in my store. Check the links below in the next week or two. Bomber Boys, Rod Steiger. Yeah, I have a great story with Rod Steiger. Academy Award winning Rod Steiger, boy. Boy, I love him. What was that? The Mars Attacks? Boy, Rod Steiger, he was a superstar. He walked onto that set and he took over, boy. Rod Steiger took over that set. And my dad was proud to meet Rod Steiger as well. On the Waterfront, Academy Award winning actor. Did you read Choose Your Own Adventure books when you were a kid? Yes, I did. I did. Some of them were far too short. Yes, I did. I did almost all the things that you guys did, man. I'm like 48 years of age, boy. I'm old. What do you think of AI, artificial intelligence? I think it's scary. I think we are living in the Terminator 2 days. It's just the beginning. But again, there's a reason why it's on all the media's videos and storylines nowadays. Because AI is also bringing in social credit score. Everything we do is online, bank accounts, everything. And so they had to create artificial intelligence to control all of this stuff. So we're living in the digital age that's now going to become artificial intelligence. Whether we're going to live in a world where AI takes over, I don't think they're going to blow up nuclear bombs. Because if AI is an actual artificial intelligence and they want to survive, why would they take out the infrastructure by blowing up bombs or nuclear bombs, or even if nuclear bombs are real? Again, I'm one of those conspiracy people. Some of it doesn't make a lot of sense. But why would AI do that? Because it would get rid of the computers and all that stuff to keep AI going. So if they take over the earth and the people, it'll be in different ways. It won't be with bombs or infrastructure. It'll be taking over our minds, our jobs, our opportunities. And just interesting, man. A lot of interesting stuff. Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for that, brother. Exactly, that's what I wanted. Oh, Jess, you're donating too much. How about you be my wing woman? Give me a girlfriend. I'm in need. Go check out his list at the Rat Pack channel too. The information is down below, guys. Appreciate you all. I love you all. Yeah, these long videos do strain me, dude. But I needed to do this on this channel. I haven't done it in a while. Jess, thank you for the fun time. Ooh, I had a girl telling me thank you for the fun time. You a hottie. You know you are. You got a beautiful family, but you a hottie. Speaking of Rad movies, you see the movie Rad, Mikey? Yes. Rad is up there with one of the movies that made me get a BMX bike. I think I spoke about that in my top 5 or 10 toys video from my last live stream. All right, that being said, guys, I love you all. I thank you all. Have a beautiful night. Go do what you're going to do. Treat your friends kindly. Don't judge other people because the truth is, we're all just doing our best. We're all just doing our best one day at a time. One day at a time. I love you guys. Thanks for chiming in. Let me know the list of your 9 to 15 movies that shaped your life down below, and I'd love to read them. Thank you guys. God bless you, and I'll see you sometime in the future and live, guaranteed, next week. And one last time, let's watch some commercials for the events that I'm going to be appearing at, and you guys can come and hang out with me.
Pop quiz, kiddos. What do you get when you take the color orange and a pinch of your childhood and turn it into a San Diego Comic-Con after party? Give up. You get Nick at NightClub, the Nickelodeon-themed Comic-Con nightlife experience. Brought to you by XLE Productions on Thursday, July 20th at PARQ Nightclub in the heart of the Gaslamp District. Get nostalgic while being fully immersed in sight and sounds of the first kids network, Nickelodeon. Party to music from the 90s and 2000s, performed by the world-famous Lux Capacitor. Add-in sets by DJ Elliott and DJ Atomic Blonde. Special guest performances, plenty of Nickelodeon cosplay, photo walk, themed drinks, and more. So take the physical challenge, try to avoid the green slime, and relive the past with us at Nick at NightClub, the first SVCC after party for adults who are still kids.
Hey, everybody! This is Michael Ray Bauer, DonkeyLips from Nickelodeon Salute Your Shorts, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all at Nick at NightClub. This is the 90s reincarnated. Nick at NightClub is DonkeyLips approved. And another way you can support me, the creator of this content, is checking out my merchandise store with the links below. We got t-shirts for sale. Anything that I got available, I'm going to get it to you. Like DonkeyLips t-shirts. You love DonkeyLips. They come in a variety of colors. Why don't you pick yourself up one? Hey, become a camper, camp on Awana. Pick up a personalized autographed photo sent to you. I also have cameos available that also come with a personalized autograph photo shout out sent to you from Cameo. And right now, limited Zeke the Plumber Plushy Nightmare t-shirts. That's right. Everything's limited. Everything's on sale. Support your boy, Michael Ray Haybauer. Links down below. Once again, thank you guys for chiming in. Have a beautiful, blessed evening. And do me one favor. Hate can't hurt happy, so try to be happy. Thanks for spending this beautiful evening with me. I love you guys, and I'll see you when I go back to the future.